It is Friday night. It is time for Explain Yourself. We're already having fun. We should have been recording the last 10 minutes. We got a crew tonight, but we're going to do something really crazy. Tonight, 74 years ago, my mom was born, and we've got an hour to wish Helen Joseph a happy birthday. So, Mom, I love you very much. It was great to hang out with you tonight. And that's why I am so late and made all of these poor guys wait for me to get everything ready. So I thank you, but it was from my mom.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Justice Mom.
So, Will, how are you, buddy?
Doing all right. It's been an interesting week. We got snowed out today in Northwest Arkansas. I thought I lived in the South. Snow. I don't know it's crazy.
It was about 92 today in my part of Florida. But we are supposed to be cold by tomorrow night, so we'll get it. But we aren't that far away. That is nuts.
It's crazy.
All right, so it is the beginning of the show. So what we're gonna do is ask everybody to give us a 30-second pitch on your comic. If somebody was walking past your, I guess I should explain what the show is, right? I literally poured myself a coffee at 10.
Explain is literally
tonight.
in the name.
That's right.
So Explain Yourself is the Kickstarter roundtable. We've got people running current campaigns, and we're going to talk to them about those books, how they came to be, and kind of anything else about making comics, crowdfunding, pop culture, whatever it might be. So we always start off with a 30-second elevator pitch. So Nathan, if somebody was walking past your booth at a comic convention, what would you tell them as quick as you could to get them interested in Godslayers?
Godslayers is a story of a group of heroes on a mission to resurrect a fallen enemy whose soul seeks redemption in order to help them destroy a demon he released on their world.
My enemy is my friend because his enemy is shittier.
Yes.
All right.
That's the saying I know. Yeah.
I'm with you. All right. I'm just going in my screen. Joseph, what is Two-Eyed Tales?
Two-Eyed Tales is a black and white horror anthology that's themed around the fear of being eaten alive. And it's in a magazine format like the old Warren Publishing creepy and eerie comics.
Oh, beautiful. All right. That sells the stuff right there. All right. So do you prefer to be J. Michael? What do you prefer?
Jay or Joe, either one's
Jay.
fine.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go with Jay. So Jay, how would you entice somebody to your booth walking past you at a comic convention?
All right. Well, Morsels is a collection of 8 delectably bite-sized horror stories, so terrifying that you'll be screaming for more.
All right. That's 8 seconds. You've got like 22 seconds to do whatever you want. You can dance.
He's just making sure for the one floor pitch you got it done.
Yeah, your work is cut out for you, Jeff. You've got to match or beat that.
All right, so Magic Powder, I like to pitch it as it's Dungeons and Dragons meets The Wire. So basically, that's it. That's the way I usually pitch it. Or I say Gamora, but most people don't know the show Gamora, so I can't pitch it like that. But essentially, it's a fantasy world that's kind of like in modern times, and everything's somewhat peaceful throughout the world. All the, countries kind of work together. But in the city Thez, there's no law, so all the shady characters of this world come to Thez, and that's why the Magic Powder syndicates kind of run that town and stuff like that. So it's a little seedier than everywhere else on the planet. But that's Magic Powder. It's just, fantasy crime.
Well, I like seedy, so let's dive into seedy. So, where did Magic Powder come from? Where did you first get the glimmer in your eye for this?
It's funny, because right where I'm at right now, because I'm at a friend's house that I used to live at, and I'm just over here hanging out right now. But I used to live here, and this is the bed I was sitting on when I came up with that idea. So yeah, I was sitting here. It was during the pandemic, probably around January-ish of last year, so 2021. And I was sitting here watching Gomorrah, that show Gomorrah. So it's like an Italian mafia show, takes place in Naples, about the Camorra instead of like the La Cosa Nostra. It's a different mafia in Italy. And I was just watching that, and at the same time, like Fargo was on and stuff like that. I was like, there's all these great crime stories, but they all take place on Earth. So I'm like, I already can't, it's been done here. I got to come up with something new. And then I was thinking, like, what do people like? Lord of the Rings. Everyone likes Lord of the Rings. I was like, maybe I can mix that. And so that's really where it started. And then, the Dungeons and Dragons aspect of it. Like, I never played Dungeons and Dragons personally, but like I watch, all these shows like Community and stuff like that where it's mentioned. And, Freaks and Geeks, they have a Dungeons and Dragons episode. But like, yeah, so I've always been interested in it. And I played board games and stuff like that, but I just never had a RP crew like that. So yeah, just a lot of that's like mimics. And, I guess Dark Souls is a big part of it too. Since like I was playing that at the time, and like that's a really dark, like you're walking through hell basically, just fighting monsters. So it's like, and I felt like Gomorrah, the people in Gomorrah living in Naples, like where they lived, it kind of was like living in hell in itself. But it's also on top of like ancient Rome. It's all built atop ancient Rome. So there's a bunch of projects, all these ugly project buildings on top of what used to be the greatest civilization in our world, So that kind of came from that, the whole fantasy aspect. So yeah, that's Magic Powder.
I'm going to pull up the page and let's get to it. Who is the team around you?
So I'm only the writer. I came up with the story, the characters, all that stuff. I do the storyboards and everything. So when I send it over, but I found Danielle Aquilani on Reddit, on the Comic Book Collabs subreddit, because at the time I posted that I was looking for an artist, and at the exact same day he posted that he just finished a project and was looking to be hired again. So he didn't even come to my post. I found his post. And man, he's just amazing. He's from Italy, and he just got what I was going for. Since, like I said, it's kind of based around like Italy in itself, at least the look. So yeah, it was just worked out. He had never even seen Gomorrah, but he had heard of it and stuff like that because it's big out there. And so that's my interior artist. He does the pencils, he does the inks, he does the colors, he does the lettering. He's just amazing. And then we have Samuel Unzi, and he's my artist for the covers usually. So he did the first cover. He's doing the second cover that you can see right now. And he's from Nigeria. I found him in a Facebook group, and he's just been amazing to work with. And then he has an Instagram. Shia the Artist is his Instagram if anyone wants to check him out on there. Danielle doesn't really do any social media. And then my sister Raven does everything else, like graphic design wise. She made the logo. She does like the title page, the thank you for contributing page, the rest in peace at the end where it shows everyone who died that issue. Just all that kind of stuff. Even these things here, like the rewards and this team and all these little things we're looking at on the screen. She made all that. She made all these little things right here where you can see the reward tiers. So yeah, like everything she does, all that stuff. So without her, I wouldn't even be able to make this. So my sister's a real big part of it too, Raven Schiller. And then yeah, that's it. And then like I said, I just write it and promote the crap out of it since no one else wants to do social media in our team. So I'm that guy. And yeah, so I probably annoy a lot of my friends and stuff.
You want an artist that does social media, but I would prefer an artist that does backgrounds like this. Look at that work.
It's so amazing. And that's like, I remember hearing like The Walking Dead, they got rid of their artist because he was taking too long doing backgrounds and stuff. And I'm like, man, I'd rather take 10 years to make this and get it right than just rush a bunch of art out so we can sell some quick copies. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not in a rush. Like,
yeah.
I like that you roll right in with that Minotaur.
Oh man, yeah, the Hit Minotaur. Like that's actually inspired. I mean, he's obviously inspired by Leon the Professional, the look wise. But the idea of the Minotaur came from I was playing Hades, and you kept fighting a Minotaur every time you go through it. I was like, that'd be kind of badass to throw that kind of fantasy character in. That's where he came from.
Well, we've got the link up here in the on the screen. But is there a shorter link that somebody can go to get directly to the project on Kickstarter?
Not really. If you go to getmagicpowder.com, that's where my store is, and there's a link there at the bottom for the Kickstarter. But mostly you go to my Twitter, everything like that. This is the link you'll find, the actual Kickstarter link, because it's a Shopify page, so I can't direct link my URL. Like I don't have control over the URL, so that's like why it's this way. But this is it. Or just type Magic Powder in the Kickstarter. Everyone knows that. I think you might even be able to type it into Google at this point. But
I'm pretty sure if you do magicpowder.net, it takes you a very, very different. Incredible thing. You have to buy that in Bitcoin. No cash or checks. But
definitely not affiliated, but somewhat inspired.
Who also, does your lettering?
Don't do powder drugs in real life, kids. Yeah.
Who letters the project? You talked about the cover artist, but
Danielle actually, he letters it, colors it, inks it, pencils it. Yeah, he does everything. Yeah. He's amazing. And like originally on the lettering, because he like that I would say is his weakness. But originally it was a little too tight and stuff like that. That was the only complaints we really got. So I told them, space it out a little bit more, and I haven't heard a complaint since. Actually, someone did a review for us, Lauren from Wednesday Pull List. She did a review and said the lettering was like one of the highlights. So I was pretty happy about that. And
Awesome.
yeah, it's just like, he pays, it's $100 a page. I got to pay him, but he does everything. So it's like, it's such a good deal. And there's no way not to keep it going. I hope he wants to keep that rate for next issue, but yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, Blake Buzz says he is not buying no comics with Bitcoin. I agree, no comics with Bitcoin.
Down with the crypto.
It's
That's
a
right.
it's a very different powder that you buy with Bitcoin, guys. Very, very different.
I think it was also Broad City, the show Broad City. They said crypto is used for human trafficking, so I would not get into that anyway.
Yeah, well, that's not fun for anybody.
No.
Yeah, that's the bottom of the barrel of what's
Yeah.
going on in humanity, really.
Yeah, no, I know. It's funny. I'll go a little inside baseball. I'm personally haven't seen anything about crypto that entices me, that gets me excited. And the things that get me excited are on the more negative end, but I'm not smart enough to actually rail for or against it. But somebody was really trying to convince me of it, and I was telling him no. And then we had somebody on. I'll leave him nameless. And right before the show, he's like, "And I can announce the NFTs." And I was like, "Maybe not, because we want this to be very. I just want this to be a positive thing. I'm not here to shoot down anybody else's ideas, but I'm also not here to push things that I think might destroy the world." So. And then the person who was trying to tell me NFTs were good started putting in the chat, and I was just like, delete.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue with anybody because we're all making our own decisions. But no, buy drugs with Bitcoin, no comics, and no human trafficking.
That's right.
Nope.
That is my.
And with all the ODs going on with that fentanyl stuff, don't even buy the drugs, honestly.
Yeah.
Do you know that's about 2 miles from me?
No,
I did not know that.
Today the spring breakers that got it, my parents were woken up by the helicopters, so it's probably why the magic powder is on my mind, and I'd rather laugh than cry. So,
yeah, because even speaking of like The Wire being an inspiration, like that's how the guy who played Omar, Michael Kenneth Williams, died. So it's like, yeah, man, and like everybody wants to have a good time, whatever, man. But if it's white powder, you don't know what it is. So I wouldn't try it if I were you.
I agree. I agree. I just stick with
comics.
Stick with
exactly.
comics,
Exactly.
coffee, and then other. We had somebody drinking absinthe here, so you can do that. You can chase the green fairy on this show. We're fans of that. If you want to try it.
Perfect.
So, Jay, do you want to do a deep dive into morsels?
Go ahead.
Oh, go.
Oh, sure. I'd love to talk about it. I mean, I think a little bit like, Joseph kind of said, but a big thing about, I guess what this project kind of came about is over the last 2 years, with different artists that I, really like, respect. I've done a few, short horror stories. Few have been kind of in a couple anthologies, but some of them were just more ones, I just put up to build, a portfolio. And so I had these stories sitting around, and I'm like, you know what? I've seen other people kind of do a collection or anthologies. I had a couple, artists I was dying to work with. Adam Cahoon is one, Noah Bailey, just multiple people. And so I wrote 4 new stories and just decided to kind of put it all together and kind of make it like the old, EC Comics, horror magazines, things like that. Like Alex Cormack did the main cover. You can kind of see the art right there.
Oh, did Alex did this project image?
Yeah. So he did the cover art, and Cinnerman did the werewolf, the variant that we have.
I should have recognized his teeth.
Yeah.
Those teeth are an Alex Cormack patented move.
Yeah. And then Adam Cahoon and Tim Daniel from Second Rocket Comics did the logo design and kind of the kind of the design of the cover. But I mean, it's just, I mean, they're both phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm excited about this because I mean, just kind of the lineup of people that I've worked with, like Dan. I'm probably gonna butcher this, but McMahon from Gate Crashers, and Zane Barrow, both are two of the guys that kind of help me edit stories, kind of give me feedback, things like that. They've both been phenomenal. You got Noah Bailey's going to do a story. Adam Cahoon, Matt Harding did art for one of the kind of fake ad mock-ups that we have in here. But you got Roman Stevens did colors on a couple stories. Second Rocket Comics. Lane Lloyd did art for me. Marcus Jimenez from, and I probably butchered that, so sorry, Marcus, if you were hearing that. He did from Dauntless Stories. He did a story. But J. Paul Sheik, you've got Micah Myers on letters, Alex Cormack, Cinderman on covers, Jim Campbell on letters, Christian DeBari, Justin Birch, Nathan Uten, and Jeremy Simster. So I feel like there's just tons of talent in this book. More than I probably deserve on anything like that. Like that right there, you can see you're kind of scrolling past this. I think that's going to be like our centerpiece, like a 2-page. But Adam Cahoon did this, and I mean, he just blew it out of the water. I feel like it's fun to kind of have that old school, send away ad.
Did you give him any pointers on it, or did he just was that a present in your inbox?
I'll give him 97.5% of the credit. I mean, I basically said, hey, this is what I want to do with the book. I think it would be fun to have these ads. I think it should be a mask send away. And so I did a really, really bad sketch out of kind of the basic format and what I was kind of thinking. I think I gave him a couple ideas for masks because I kind of have a couple fun Easter eggs in there for some, characters that I've liked in some other comics. And so, but other than that, I was like, hey, go nuts. And so, I mean, he did.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I like that picture right there.
That's an interesting picture.
Yeah.
So
right
now you guys are at what, 222 backers right now?
Yeah.
That's an awesome number. That's good luck right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're sitting. I think tonight, a little bit before we came on here, I think I just got over 6,000. So I think right now I'm a little over 400 to funding.
Nice. And what, about 12 days left, I think?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
For the last probably 2 weeks, I've been seeing that project image that Alex did for you, and it is just such a traumatic piece to look at, but that's exactly what you want for a horror anthology. I've just been like, this is literally that one image. I'm like, I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read it.
Everybody that I've worked with in this book, I've loved working with. It's been awesome. Alex is somebody too. We kind of have another project that we're working on. I'm pretty excited about. So he's got a much bigger part in that. But I mean, I've loved, Sea of Sorrows, Road of Bones with him, with Rich and Dueck, Sync with John Lees. And so, I mean, he's just got this really huge talent for horror. But I just love how it's, so dark and gritty and kind of, disgusting. And I mean, when he did his cover, I mean, my jaw dropped, I think, when he texted me that one day.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extraordinary. It's gross as shit, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And he's the sweetest guy. How is this in his brain?
Well, that's
and I mean,
you got to go somewhere for that.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? What's funny is I don't know. Both of them. I think I kind of gave. He maybe asked, "Do I have an idea of what I want for the cover?" I mean, I maybe gave him a little bit. Hey, this is this is at least what's inspired me. And then, I mean, that's what he came up with. And I think the werewolf one I love is there are a couple different ideas. And I was talking to Centerman. I'm like, hey, maybe this, maybe that. He's like, yeah, I think that might work. And then I think he sent me that, and I'm just like, okay, that's awesome. That's far beyond what I could come up with.
Yeah, that was a good morning in the household when that showed up.
Oh yeah, actually, you can kind of see over my shoulder, maybe. But I was gonna say I have that original drawing over there on my
beautiful
behind me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Blake
Like,
Buzz says all the art I've seen for morsels is a tasty fucking snack, and I agree. And Ignacio answered the question. He says, Alex, that's sweet because he does that art. He purges the demons.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. You can take that.
That's a better outlet than some other things.
That is true. Is there a possible Morsels 2 in the future, or is it just kind of is horror something that you kind of want to stake your tent to, or do you want to? What type of stuff do you like to do?
Yeah, I've always liked the mashups. I mean, obviously got horror comedy. I don't know. It's just it's fun for me, and I feel like I have other ideas, and there's certain stories that I've done where I'm like, even if you look at Together Forever, like I had this basic idea in my head, and I'm like, oh, this is just, I don't know why there's just this really sad story in my head. And then after a while, I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, oh, there should be zombies in it. I feel like my ideas always just somehow come back to horror.
Okay.
But yeah, I think, if people, I mean, obviously, hopefully it's going to get funded. I want to get too ahead of myself, but I feel like got a short distance to go and a decent amount of time.
Okay, so we're stopping right there. Kickstarter math. Kickstarter math. Okay. You're fucking funded.
Yeah.
Okay. Kickstarter math. You're funded. 95% of Kickstarters that reach 50% are funded. You are $400 away.
Okay, so when it's funded, but if it's okay, then we'll change it if it's well received.
Okay, great.
If people like it, they dig it, I would be totally down to do a second volume. I think it kind of lends itself to do a second volume. So I've definitely thought about that and thought about, is it something where I continue to be narcissistic and write all the stories myself, or do I maybe open it up to some other people, to do some stories? That's up in the air. But I know the next project I'm working on is another horror anthology, but it's more going to be probably anywhere like 60 to 80 pages. But it's definitely more like, this feels more like Creep Show, just kind of like these kind of dark comedic twists and things like that, kind of bright colors. This other one I'm working with Alex on is more Tales from the Crypt, Tales from, the dark side, things like that, much darker. And just a trio of tales. And I'm pretty excited about that. I don't want to give too much away, but I feel like the hook, or kind of the thread that holds them all together, is kind of to me is kind of interesting. I haven't really seen it before, so pretty excited for that. And there'll be some gnarly stuff in it that Alex will be able to draw out. So
awesome. All right. Well, we're in horror. I say we stay in horror. Joseph, Two-Eyed Tales. Let's go deep. Where did this one come from in that scary brain of yours? Because I read Dr. October, the
Dr. Orange.
Dr. Orange. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then your Prairie horror kids tale. Which one was that one? I was gonna go in today and do research, and no, I went to my mom's birthday party, so I didn't do shit. I apologize.
Yeah, that's right.
But those scary ass little kids you did.
Yeah. Bless the children, and
yes.
that was
scary.
We put that in the first Two-Eyed Tales. So that's actually related to this one. There's an old comic we did in 2017 called Bless the Children's 15-page horror story. It's like a frontier horror story. It's about this guy who gets. It takes place in 1847, and it's about a guy who gets lost in the mountains in Northern California and almost dies during a freak blizzard. And he comes down and he finds this one town, and it's full of all these children that are completely silent. And so there's kind of a mystery in it and a horror element to it. But there's one part of that story which there's a guy who's on 2 pages of that story, and I never really developed him. He was like in and out of the story really quickly, and that's kind of a shame because there's only 3 characters in the story. But he is a Northern Peyote Native American, and he says he's a traveling merchant, and he said he's been separated from his tribe for some reason. And so that was the story idea that I had, kind of like, this guy is like so interesting. I had to tell a story about how this happened and why he isn't with his tribe anymore. And that was kind of in my brain for a while, but I hadn't really done anything with it. And so the first 2 tales, we just took a bunch of black and white stories that we had in anthologies or had published separately, and then put them all together with an additional news story. And then with this one, I had one more story that was going to go into another anthology, but it didn't end up coming out. So it was a 4-page story. And I was like, let's just make another 2 tales and put some more stories in there. So really, I'm releasing a 36-page comic because of a 4-page story.
I like that. I like that, Matt.
So the Bless the Children prequel kind of thing kind of came out, and it was 22 pages, and it's has nothing to do really with Bless the Children other than it has the same character in it. And it's a guy who there's a legend about the cannibal giant Nuuzohu in Northern Peyote mythology, and he goes and tries to eat all the animal people in the time before human people, and the other animal people come to Coyote for help because he is the wisest, and he ends up through a series of events turning him into stone. And so the Northern Peyote have this legend, and they say this is Nuuzohu's face, this giant rock that is actually a real location in Oregon. So I was doing this research on the folktales, and I decided to base it mostly around that. So this guy from the previous story, he finds out that a meteorite has struck Nuuzohu's face in the middle of winter, and his essence is seeping out. And all the nearby wildlife is now hungering for human flesh. So since it's the middle of winter, like everything's like alarm bells are going up because a lot of these animals aren't even supposed to be there. You know, we have bears coming out of hibernation. There's aphids. There's fish in a frozen lake, and all kinds of stuff. And so he's going to go to Nuuzohu's face and seal the crack, so that the giant himself doesn't escape. But first, he needs to avoid being eaten by these other animals. And luckily for him, his brother and his wife realize he's gone, and they come and try to help him. So that's pretty much all I can reveal about this story. Yeah,
is that the story that's in landscape?
Yes, it's in landscape. Yeah.
So what was the thought process to developing a comic book in that, in the landscape as opposed to I guess portrait?
We did the Bless the Children in landscape because we based it off of an 1842 comic called The Adventures of Obadiah, old book, which is probably the first comic book the way we think of comic books, and it was actually a bootleg from Europe, and it was kind of in that landscape format. So I decided to do that so it kind of would look like an older comic. It could have been published in the 1840s. And then so we just kind of kept the same format with this one because it was related, but it takes place 38 years previous to that. And then the 4-page story I mentioned earlier is called The Invisible Claw Monster from Outer Space. It's about a woman who falls asleep watching a B movie and called The Invisible Claw Monster from Outer Space. And she wakes up and they're scratching at her door. And so that's the 4-page story. And then we have a 10-page story, which was I'd never really done a werewolf story before.
Yes.
And I still have because this is I want to do a werewolf story that isn't a werewolf story. So there's no werewolves in the story. It's about a guy who gets cursed by a cultist to turn into a leopard every night and eat people. And basically, he tries to cure himself using his knowledge of lycanthropy from pop culture, and everything he knows is wrong. So we start the story with him about to kill himself because he thinks he has no other choice. And that's on page 1, so there's 9 more pages.
Nice.
So he messes that up too.
But yes, so just those 3 stories in there, and then we also have the original Joy Tales in there.
So you can't catch up with both.
What's that?
You can catch up with both, and
Yes, you can.
and Bless the Children. Can people pick up or?
It's in Two Eyed Tales, yeah. So
Got it. All right.
yeah, it's the first story in Two Eyed Tales, and then we have 3 other stories in there too.
Okay.
So it's 7 stories between the two books, something like 80 pages almost. So
Well, Will and I put extraordinary thought and creating themes for our shows. We do everything we can to make sure that we have horror anthologies and things that fit like
Absolutely.
this. Which meant when we reached out to you, you guys said that this Friday night would work out, and it is so crazy how often, without any, actual effort on our part or skill, we come up with something that thematically works. We'll have 4 Cthulhu books or horror anthologies the same night. I mean, we've got werewolves, we've got minotaurs.
yeah, that's also how I came up with the theme. I wrote the stories first, and then I was like, I guess this is his theme, So
What's really crazy, I'm feeling pretty lucky to be on tonight because I've shared and or followed or all of you guys in the last 2 weeks or so. I think I shared morsels on Facebook just a couple of days ago. I was watching you on Pop Anime, and Magic Powder I follow on Twitter all the time. So
Well,
as a first time guy, I've been watching you guys. So
well, we wanted to give you a little bit of time to warm up, but I hope you're warm because I think it's your time to shine. Let's get talking about Godslayers.
all right. So Godslayers, I've been a game master for role-playing games for years and years and years. Since I was 14. I'm 42. I run a steady group every Sunday. And I've kind of been holding off on. I've always wanted to be a writer, but I was always pretty happy with just telling stories to people sitting in my living room.
Okay, so Jeff, if you want to play, ask him if he's got a seat. Come on.
Yeah.
You got a seat for Jeff in your next game?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
They might have to take you up on that.
I run every Sunday from noon to between 6 and 8 o'clock at night. I live on the West Coast, but I have for years and years and years now. And my kids are grown up, and I wanted to do a comic book, and I kind of just jumped into it head first. I've been following Niobe comics for years and years, and in September I just decided that I wanted to make a comic book. I have an artist who's done group shots for me for my role-playing group. As Christmas presents or just for the heck of it. And I was just like, do you want to do a comic book? And he said, yeah. And I had an old script from an anime I wrote, and Godslayers was born from it. Mario, my artist, is awesome. He does the art, he does the lettering, he does the coloring. Everything's done by him. I storyboard and write it.
Okay. Do you show him the storyboards or just use it to write your script?
If you look down at the bottom, the author's gallery is one of my stretch goals with my ridiculously hilarious storyboards.
Okay.
So for me, this has been a heck of a journey. I've learned so much in such a short time, trying to learn what it was going to take to get my comic done, how the page layouts had to be for the printers. I launched before I really knew what I needed to do to promote. And so I keep diving headfirst in and learning as I go. And so I have an author's gallery that's got all my storyboards and kind of my journey through this. And it says it's 116 pages, but I want to add some. I'm probably going to add some notes back there. But my idea was I went into this headlong, and anybody else who might have an interest might like looking at my storyboards and scripts and seeing the process we followed and seeing if it might work for them.
Mm-hmm. Is this? Yeah.
Yep.
Man, this blows my stuff to shit, man. Yeah.
So Mario was just I wrote him. I have like a literal script, like a screenplay, and he was like, "Can you storyboard this for me?" Because he was born in Mexico City and lives in New York now. And he's like, just draw me a storyboard. And so that's what I did. I laid out the panels. I drew. I think I start out with stick figures and move slowly into silhouettes as I'm going. I mean, like I said, I went all in too. Like I have variant covers by Greg Bo Watson and Courtney Rose with coloring by I'm going to say Gwen. Her name's Gwenaëlle Dallegalt. I'm probably butchering it, but Gwen did the coloring for both of those covers. I have a total of 5 covers on my Kickstarter.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we did, the main cover is designed by me and drawn by Mario. We have a Greg Bo Watson cover. Yeah. We have a Greg Bo Watson cover, which is the orange Bella cover. That's colored by Gwenaëlle. And then we have another Mario Barraza cover, the 80s looking action movie cover, which is really cool. That's his own design. I told him I wanted a cover that he did all on his own, no layouts or anything by me, and that's what he came up with. And then we have the Courtney Rose cover, which is also colored by Gwenaëlle. And then I did a blank sketch cover for it.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote this as an anime, and I'm in love with the story. I'm already ready to do episode 2. Whether so, I mean, and I'm learning as I go.
Well, I think a little bit every one of us has. It just depends on when you start. I mean, doing indie comics is leaping off and looking for a ledge. So
I've been really lucky. I've had a super positive experience. Everyone's always really, really cool. They're willing to lend advice. And so I've run into some walls, but there are always walls where there's someone standing there to point me in the right direction and be like, "Hey, that's a wall, man."
You know what? But sometimes literally you've run into them before you realize it. What may seem to be, like my first campaign, I reached out to Kelly Sue DeConnick because I was so excited it was going so well. And I was like, I just read, Captain Marvel #1. I'm like, do you want to look at mine? And now I look back and I'm like, thank fucking God she just ignored me.
Oh, yeah.
How am I? I just tweeted one of the biggest writers in Marvel because I was excited about my campaign. And like, God bless her, she didn't answer, but she also didn't hey guys, this is not how you do it.
She didn't subtweet you.
She didn't subtweet me. She didn't quote tweet me. So she is on my list of the nicest people in the world because she ignored my rudeness. It wasn't because I thought that she owed me anything. I was just giddy and, maybe I hadn't had any absinthe, but I probably had something strong that night. And I was like, well, this will work.
Well, and for me, I was ready to tell a story beyond my living room. I've been storytelling for years, and my players have been telling me to write books or write comic books. And I wanted to make that leap, And
I wanted to, one of the reasons I was like, absolutely, I want you to come on is when you reached out to me, the way you reached out to me was done so well. Nathan sent me a message and just said, hey, we haven't met yet, but I'd like to meet you because I'm trying to do this thing that you're doing. And I know you do the show. I'm not saying that I should be on it, but if you have a spot, I'd love to talk about my comic. And I was like, fuck yeah, we'll find a spot for you, you know? That's, you know, so you whether there was a wall there or not, you made your own ladder and you climbed it. So it's a lot about how you present yourself more so than anything else, you know?
Well, and like I said, when I started out, I thought, oh, you know, I found an artist, I write a great story, I make it, I put it up on Kickstarter, and then everyone was like, well, you got to promote it. And I was like, what? And they're like, no, you got to promote it, man. And I was like, oh my God, I do. Like,
yeah, Blake says that's a hot topic. Some people got mad about DMing Kickstarter links and how that's not copacetic. Well, yes, if the message had been, hi, Kevin, I have a Kickstarter, you should look at it, we probably wouldn't be talking tonight, because I'd be like, all right, well, good luck. And when you built up an audience and you and I meet, then, you know, I'll check out your Kickstarter. But you didn't do that. You had the presence of mind to just be like, hey, man, I'm putting my boat in this stream too.
well, and what's crazy is like I'm seeing you guys. Like I said, I've been sharing people's stuff. Like I shared morsels the other day. I just watched Two-Eyed Tales on Pop Anime, and I'm nobody. Like, this is my first one. So
this is my first one too. I mean, you could, you know, it is what it is. So
yeah,
this is my 10th one. And
so I'm trying to be super polite, you know. Definitely nobody owes me anything for just liking and sharing stuff. I mean, hell, you guys have been, if anything, you guys have been entertaining me with shows and comics and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring.
It's a great community. 80% of the community is so giving, so accepting, and so ready to help. And you know, when I still ask people a couple rungs above me, you know, how can I help you and how can you help me? And a couple rungs, you know, like, it's just years, you know, it's just, if you stick around long enough, then people think that you know what you're doing. Something. We don't.
And it's crazy because the community is so grateful too. Like, I find that on Facebook all the time, how grateful people are just to get a share. You know, and I'm always like, for sure, you know, like, don't even worry about it. I liked what I saw. Of course I'm going to share it, you know, and it's been a super positive experience. It really has.
Jay said that was it's your first Kickstarter as well, right?
Yeah.
So what have you guys doing your first Kickstarters? How has the experience been for both of you?
Ooh, it's been eye-opening. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really know what to expect. I feel like, especially the behind the scenes and the creation of everything. Like, I think I started about 2 to 3 months ago, and I feel like now, granted, I had to work on it kind of like piece by piece, but I wanted to make sure I got all my creative team in there, you know, and kind of spotlighted each and one of them. I wanted everything to look professional, you know. Easton DeVerna, he's done a couple Kickstarters. He does some great books. I mean, he's been huge in this process. He says that I haven't, but I'm sure I've kind of annoyed him enough with my questions. But I mean, you know, he could have easily said, "Hey, figure it out." I had to figure it out. But instead, he's like, "Heck yeah!" You know, I had a phone call with me. "Hey, yeah, this is what I've done. This is here's my suggestions." So I think the creation of it was eye opening, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like you know, you see so many of these campaigns pop up, and it's like, oh, funded in 20 minutes, funded in a day, funded in 12 hours, funded in this. You're like, oh my God, this is gonna be awesome. This is great. Yeah. You know, this could happen to me. This could be it. And then you're like, go. I said go.
I'm feeling that 100%.
But I think, like, I think I had this, huge expectation in my head that, oh my God, this is going to be, not huge, but like, oh, okay, maybe I could get funded today, in a couple days and this and that. And then, a couple of other campaigns kind of went the same time that mine did, and they were funded in a day, 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got in my head a little bit, not going to lie. But then I realized, these are individuals that have great books, but they're also on their third, fourth campaign. Mm-hmm. They've put in, multiple years of building their audience, their fan base, and so they've built up to that. So I had to step back and take some perspective, but I feel like for my first time, I feel like I'm doing pretty well.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you asked a goal of 6,500.
Yeah,
that's not a small goal. No, so to be within $400 of that with 12 days left is exceptional. Yeah. I know, Joseph, I know you've done this a lot. Jeff, how many Kickstarters have you run?
This is the second one I've ever created myself. And then in probably 2016, my friend Chris and we tried to do like a mobile video game Kickstarter. Oh. And it was mostly him running it. I was just going to write the game and stuff. And that did not go great.
Well, it's a whole nother crowd too. Yeah. So I wouldn't even know how to reach them.
This guy, Chris, that I did it with, he's actually, we were, whatever. But so Chris, he worked for THQ and all these other EA companies like that. So he's been in the gaming space his whole life, and he, programs and all this stuff. So, he thought he had a grasp on it, but I think we asked too much in the goal. Like if he would have went a little smaller, we'd been fine. Because I think we ended up getting like almost 16,000, but he was going for something way more than that. So it was a mistake, But otherwise, I learned a lot just from that, and that was years ago. And then with this comic, I wasn't even going to do a Kickstarter on the first issue. I was just going to do 12 pages, end it when they head to Thez as like a preview thing. And then I posted like probably the first page, and it got really good reactions. So I was like, I don't know, maybe I will do a Kickstarter. And it's gone pretty good. So
I think my first campaign, it took about 3 weeks to get the funded to $3,000. And we sat at $3,023 for like 3 days. And all I could think of was, can you go backwards? Like, can I lose this funding? Can that happen?
Yeah,
you can. And you can. And if, you'll get funded probably, Jay, you'll probably get funded right here in quote unquote, the dead zone. Mm-hmm. And so you have that, but then you have that last 48 hours where you get a lot of, a lot of energy on the campaign again. But even when you get funded, the fear doesn't actually go away. The fear is with you. Well, the fear is with you at all times in comic creation, to be honest.
Well, what kind of kills me is same thing. There's little things that I think have played, kind of plagued my anxiety in this because, I know we're getting in the dead zone. I know there's an area. I've talked with other creators. They're like, hey, you're going to have a day or two where you don't get anything. Don't worry about it. And so, I'm out there, tweeting, trying to go. And I'm like, all right, hey, you know what? I started thinking, all right, 5 backers in a day. That's the goal. If I don't hit it, okay, but 5 backers, I feel like that's doable. And so I think 2 of the days it was like, all right, we got 1 backer. This is great. Oh, wait, I just went backwards 2 backers. Shit. So then it's like, no. And then the next day it's like, all right, brush it off. Let's do it again. And the same. I think it was like, all right, we got 2 backers. And we just lost 2 backers. It's like, so then when all the stuff I did, I'm like, well, by the end of the day, I'm just right where I was at the beginning of the day.
You know what? If your nose is above water, you're not drowning. So, you're doing great. So Jeff, you're halfway through with what, 22 days?
Yeah, we got 22 days left.
Oh, you just popped up. You just moved on my screen to 1920. Whoa.
Oh, yeah. That actually has happened during the show. Yeah, I noticed that too. So we have 106 backers now. We've been going
That's the explain yourself bump, buddy.
That's right.
Yeah, you know it. We knew it existed. But yeah, so we're going for 3,500. Last time I went for 1,600, and like you said, it took about 3 weeks maybe. This time we got over 1,600 in 3 days, so that was pretty cool. It was just the first weekend. I tried to do like a free sticker gimmick for the first weekend, thinking that might drive some people. So I saw another guy who I don't really, but I saw another campaign. And they did a really cool, like little, first night or first 2 days, like, backer thing. I was like, that's a genius. I mean, I can't do something as cool as them, but I'm like, a sticker will do, I think. And so that helped. And then, right now, like you said, we got the bump today. But actually, like when I went to bed last night, or I guess this morning, technically, I was over 100. I was at 100 backers, I think. And then I woke up today. It was like 102. And then it was like 1. So like, yeah, today's been a really good day, even before that. And then the 106 now with you guys. So we're over 1,900. Very excited about that. I think we got to 2,800 last time, so we got to beat that this time. But yeah, I think we will, because I think having the first issue as add-ons and stuff like that helps a lot, because people who didn't get in on the first time and things like that. And then this time we have better stretch goals, I think, so that might push it a little bit. So I noticed a lot of times when I'm in a campaign with somebody, like I backed it right, and it's the last couple of days, and then they're like, hey, if we get to this number, we're gonna have more cool stuff. That makes me promote them even more, So I'm like, oh, maybe that'll help, oh, people want the coloring book, or people want trading cards, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I'm hoping that works out.
Joseph, you're kind of you said you've done 10 Kickstarters?
10, yeah, this is the 10th, yep.
10th one. That's pretty hardcore. Is it still as soul crushing during the dead zone, even after 10? Because I'm only up to like 6 now, so
yeah,
and it's still soul crushing.
I've actually kind of figured out something to mitigate that, and that's just to do shorter campaigns. The last 4 I did, I guess the last 7 I did were all 18 or 14 days, and those are just. You do have a slower period in the middle, but it's not as slow. So it's, you don't have like a lot of, I did a 33-1 my first time, which was a huge mistake, or 33 days. And it was good in some ways because I kind of had to flail around and trying to figure out what I was going to do, and that kind of helped. But it was really slow. I mean, really, really slow. So then second time I did 26. And that was better. Third one I did 25, and then I did a 14. And I love doing the 14-day ones. If you got a really low goal, you can just kind of, you're not necessarily trying to blow it out of the water. Just say like, hey, I got a $600 or $700 or $800, and that's all I need. Do 14 days and it gets done. And then I kind of settled into 18, which I did for all of the last 4 Dracula books. And then this one I gave it 21 because I felt a little bit unsure about Two Eyed Tales as kind of a brand. So the first one we did was we only had 70 backers. We did fun, but it wasn't like a huge success. This one I set the goal almost 4 times higher than the original one. So. It kind of has to do better, or else it's not fun. So I'm looking at about $330 more in 3 days. So I think we can probably get that. It's going to be close, but I think we can do it. I think all the previous 9 I'd funded by now at this point in the campaign. I think the latest we ever funded was 4 days left. So this is gonna be the one where I mastered the goal and the timing exactly right, hopefully. That's the way I'm looking at it. So
you guys are all ahead of me. My first campaign bombed horribly, and I did not know what I did not know. And Kevin will attest to this, is that listen to Comics Launch podcast, and then actually took the Comics Launch classes because Tyler knows things. He knows lots of things, and I attribute almost all of my success to having gone through that and learned things. Even I can be taught. So congrats, guys. You all are doing awesome.
No, and it's a lot of this is making mistakes so you can learn from them. You kind of like like Nathan just is like, I want to make a comic, so we made a comic. And like 10 years from now, you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, I made a comic and I like this part and this part, and I would change that part, and I like this part and I'd change that part. But if you didn't make the comic now, in 10 years from now you made it, you do all the same things you did now, and it's fucking great. And that's why Kickstarter is awesome, because there's nobody telling you no.
And to be fair, I haven't disliked any part of it yet.
Nice.
I'll admit that I do feel I got a little in over my head, and luckily I had some good mentors who took because my first Kickstarter layout was not nice at all. It was clip art, and it was too small to read. And they were like, hey man, like, this is really what you need to do to fix this. And I came back with, I feel, a much stronger looking Kickstarter than I had originally. So, but I haven't not had a bad experience so far. Like, it's been great. It's been a fun journey. And I'm of the mindset that fund or fail, I'm going to come back and try again. You know, I'm gonna hit episode 2. I'm gonna come back with episode 1. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep it going. It's been way too much fun.
Yeah, my buddy Juan Navarro of Creature Entertainment down in Miami, before I launched my first Kickstarter, I kind of asked him if I should or I shouldn't, and he said something that just gave me permission and gives everyone permission to do it. He said the worst thing that can happen in a Kickstarter is you ran a 30-day free advertisement for your property.
Yep, that's a good point.
Absolute worst thing that can happen is, for free, you told everybody about the book for a month.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I can put myself out there then. Yeah, if I don't fund, that would suck, but and so that's the worst case scenario. And the best case scenario is you get some funding to make your book, and you meet readers and you make mistakes and you learn from them, and
and hitting the funding for me just means so all my art's already paid for. Like, I went into this, like I said, I went all in. I paid for everything up front. And so that just means that printing, fulfillment, and paying my artist for number 2, so that's all going to Mario if I hit it. I'm not keeping any of it because I want to make another book.
That's pretty much the writer game plan, right? We don't get to keep any of it.
So it's robbing Peter to pay Paul, but you, Peter, are robbing Peter. And you are so happy to pay Paul because Paul gives you all your dreams. So it's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just talking. Go ahead.
Oh, well, it's funny how you said you're excited to pay for it. I think I messaged Adam Cahoon, who, like I said, has done a lot of the design in the book, and is going to do a story with me. And I think he messaged me and he was like, "Oh man, I can't believe it." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, I haven't really had a chance to look at the campaign." He goes, "Look how close you are." And I go, "Yeah." I go, I'm really excited to give you money for and he was like, "Oh, that's really sweet of you, but you're not really that excited to give me money." And I'm like, "Well, okay, I'm excited to have my book, but like, I want to pay you. I want to give you money. I want art. Like, give it to me."
So
it's always to be good. You want to be known for being, on time and paying your artists too, because there's a lot of guys out there that, you hear some shitty things about, and you don't want to be that guy. So
yeah.
No, I don't know. There's just something in me. I want to make sure everybody gets their dues. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it. Have there been times where maybe there's somebody that I haven't attributed? And and like I said, I think everybody has a learning curve, because there's been times where I'm like, if I've done a story, putting it out there, it's like, all right, artist, yes, artist is right there with me. But then like somebody, then you'll hear people talking like, oh yeah, you should really credit your letterer. And I'm like, shit, why didn't I think of that? Like, of course like there's always somebody you're like, oh God, I got to give them their
That's
credit.
Why you're lucky if your artist is your
time.
Colorer, is your letterer.
That's right.
Yes.
Same
I
here.
have a couple stories that's been real nice. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
that's the way to
even-
do it. Is just just if you can, just get the whole thing done before the Kickstarter. The only thing we have to do is the backer draw-ins. So we usually only got a couple of those anyway. So and Greg, who's the artist who did the first story and has done several comics for us, like he kind of knows the drill by now. Like I just say, like just draw it, and then after the Kickstarter, you can fill in the people who need to be there. And we have like one panel per book that's kind of designated for Kickstarter backers. And so that's really all we have to do, and then print it and all that. But some of these, I don't see the comics too much anymore. But like I sometimes back tabletop RPG Kickstarters, and sometimes the stuff you get from updates after the campaign is not very encouraging. Like yeah, we're doing we're still paying for art, we're still doing art, and like we're still doing layout, and we're still doing editorial, and like 2 years later they're still working on like, and it's just like that's not really like, do I really want to back this campaign again? Like if I forgot that I backed it, like is it really that something I really need?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. It just kind of like keep all those variables to a minimum, and in the past, I think we have to switch printers this time. In the past, we always use the same printer, so we knew what the turnarounds were, and we knew what kind of the specifics of the file types and the margins they wanted, and had all that stuff done before the campaign. I know, Kevin, you've done like 14 issues of Tart now, so you probably all have all that stuff down. Like
nope.
Before you.
We have really awesome letterers that do all of that nice stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean because it's like probably 3 to 5 months between each one. Sometimes we get to 3 and it's like glorious, and sometimes it's 5, and I'm not very technically proficient, so it's a relearning every time for me, because it's just not my language. But I do have very patient printers, very good. DC Hopkins is an amazing letterer, and my artist Ludo is a great guy. So yeah, I just got, you guys do that thing you guys do and make the book look good, and I'll talk about it, and get way too much credit for the book, because everybody else does, makes it beautiful and good. I was gonna say my least favorite part of Kickstarter, bar none, is when Ludo will get a commission or a page. So he'll send me the artwork, and for like 3 to 6 weeks, depending on how long I need to wait for the comics, I own this artwork. It's in my home.
You got to protect it and stuff.
It's mine.
It's just
And
precious.
then I have to.
You don't want to give it away.
I have to release it to the person who rightfully owns it. But it's like I could just go in the room and look at this for 3 weeks, and now I've got to say goodbye. So those are bittersweet. It's like sending a kid off to college. You know it's going where it needs to go, but you kind of want it still stuck in the house.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing, because like I think about this comic as done. Like I'm like, I did this comic, we paid for it, we did the art, we did lettering, I've already done the commentary pages for the deluxe edition, like done everything for it. We just have to print it. But like for the people who are backing, they have not seen most of it. So and now I'm already thinking about what the next one's going to be, and to me, I'm like, I'm done with it. It's so great, but then you have to fund it and everything else. So you're always kind of thinking in the future from what the readers are thinking. So it's just a really weird mindset you're in.
And with the art thing, man, like the comic book is a good move for me, because before that I had a tendency to just like throw my money at artists. Like I said, Mario was doing images for me for my role-playing stuff. I love Facebook artists. There was a girl who named on Facebook, Cyril Faney, who did like this epic image of one of my role-playing characters and his wife for me. I'm already looking for artists to do a second title comic book, and have paid probably way too much for concept art looking for an artist. So I mean, it's something I'm super passionate about. I don't have any artistic talent. You saw my author's gallery, but
dude, it was better than everyone else here. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah.
But I love that aspect of it, that how to just bringing what I have in my head to life, you know. And that's one of the great things about working with Mario so far is we have this, like, there's this wavelength between us. I mean, I know that I have those storyboards, but what he turns it into is, it's like he pulled it out of my brain and just put it down on paper. I really love it. So it's been a crazy fun project.
You know, you guys are talking about magic powder and, you know, drugs and all that in the beginning, but I feel like there's no other, and maybe it's just me as a writer, you know, whatever, but like getting new art in my inbox is like a better high than anything else.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like, you know, Nathan was saying about paying all these guys, but it's like, you know, I mean, I'm the audience, really. Like, if the comic's good to me, then I don't even care what anyone else thinks, because like I want to read this damn comic book. You know, I want to create this world. I want to get as far as I can with the series. So it's like, you know, even if just say, like you said, I got to pay the artist myself. Like, well, I'll go get a shitty job and pay this guy and do what I got to do. But you know,
and the artists are not getting paid what their labor actually deserves either.
I get such a deal.
Yeah, when a bunch of writers sit around and think and say this, it is tough to pay these artists, and also they're working for less than their skill actually is worth as well. So it's kind of like everybody's doing this because they love it and they want their dreams on a page and in other people's hands. So it's not like boohoo writers are paying artists. The artists are giving us deals too.
I'm happy to be paying artists because, like Jeff said, it's like Christmas. You know, when I get art, I'm just like,
well, what I even feel like is, and maybe kind of doing this with, you know, before morsels became morsels, or that, you know, more cohesive ideas. I feel like having to pay them made me a better writer, and I had to be more economical with what I was writing. Like, I think, you know, and what I maybe want to trick myself into thinking is, you know, any of the artists I've ever worked with so far, like if I've written a script, I'm like, hey, I really want you to do this. You know, do you want to read it? See if it's something that you'd be excited about. Because I feel like if they're not excited for it, I mean, it's like me, right? I mean, any of us writing something, if I don't feel it, it's just going to be garbage on the page for you know, me as a writer. And I feel like anything some of the artists that I know, I've seen them work with, you know, certain, you know, with maybe a writer, and maybe they're
name names, Jay. Name names.
No, I'm not naming names. But maybe they're like, you know, I wasn't real into this, and you can kind of see it, you know, and so I feel like anybody I've worked with, I feel like has hopefully seen something in me, so it's taken that chance on me. But even some of them, like, you know, I've worked with, you know, Christian Dabari, and I'm going to work with Noah Bailey, you know, Adam Cahoon, like all these awesome artists. And some of them throughout the time where I'm like, hey, you know, I really want to work with you. Well, okay, what's your budget? Well, it's this. And then, you know, it's kind of I'll do, you know, okay, I can do this many pages for that. Done. Okay, book me. Well, now I have to figure out how to tell this 8-page story in 3. We can do it.
So I'm going to interrupt you and tell you a story about we got invited over to this web design team in downtown Fort Lauderdale. My buddy Chris, he's like, I met this girl who works for this really cool place. They do this really cool stuff, and it was really cool. Like, they're doing virtual reality, augmented reality, the works. So they bring us in and they're like, hey, you're doing comics. We'd like to expand everything we're doing. We'd like to talk to you. And like, so we sat down and they were like doing like the serious marketing questions that I'd never thought to think about, much less answered, you know,
like what, for instance?
Yeah, for sure.
So your book Under Wars is a comedy. So which subsection of the comedy readers are you searching for? And I was like, them. You know,
all
like
of
they
them?
Yeah, them, just them, whatever of them we can find, but just very specific stuff, and so we made up whatever answers we could as close to the facts as we could. And so about 3 weeks later, they call in and we're sitting down with the head guy. They were really great. They're still great. So we're sitting in the meeting, And the guy goes, so what's your budget? And so I kind of was led to this meeting by my friend going, they want to work with us. I did not know I was going to a meeting to become a client. The guy goes, what is your budget? And I sat in that meeting and I swear to God, in my own head, I said, this money you speak of, there is none. Because I have nothing. I'm in a 6,000 square foot, 19th floor, in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Like, you can see the ocean, you can see, the Everglades. It's gorgeous. So I'm like, and I just was like, well, we hadn't thought about a budget. So what are you guys thinking of? Because I'm like, what are you going to say to that? What is your budget? I've got like $18, like.
Yeah, you literally just pull out your wallet and throw it on the table.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
$6. There you go.
When the moths fly out.
And the guy goes, well, we were thinking we could do it for $6,000. And I went, yeah, okay. Yeah, we can't do that.
I'm thinking something else.
I am sorry that we wasted each other's times here because I did not know it was going to be in the thousands of dollars we were talking.
Do you know how much art $6,000 will buy?
That's 3 episodes of Magic Powder right there.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
No, I hear you, because it's like, even I had a meeting with a publisher last month, and it was like I had a friend who's working for this publisher, so he got me a meeting with them. He showed him my book, whatever, and they were excited to supposedly talk to me about it. So we talk about it, and the guy's like, basically like, oh, well, when you're done doing 6 whole issues, we'll do like a trade paperback or whatever. And I'm like, well, what about, how am I supposed to get to the 6th issue, bro? Like, you understand how broke I am? Like, you understand what's going on here? Like, like I'm just not going to be able to pop out 6, and then how long it's going to take too. Like, it's not like Danielle's just going to it's going to take another 2 years to get to issue number 6. So yeah, I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'm never going to talk to you again. I don't know really what to say. Kind of wasting my time.
I mean, eventually, if you keep doing well, you're going to have 6 issues, and then you can decide if you call them or open it up. But I will say that I don't know any indie publishers that are taking on books that aren't, an arc isn't finished.
Okay.
So whatever that arc is,
well, for instance, I know somebody who just got on Scout Comics, and they're only 2 issues in, and they're not even done with their 3rd issue, and they're already signed and everything. They got a release date for their first 2 issues now.
Oh, they do.
Their arc is 100% not done. So I know that's not 100% the case.
Do you have a plan for how many issues of Magic Powder you're doing?
Well, this story arc, The Librarian's War, will be 6 issues. Overall, though, I mean, I want to do this for the rest of my life, probably, honestly.
Okay.
Magic Powder specifically, or comics?
Yeah, well, comics too, but honestly, this story, like this world, like I have so much stuff I want to get to. It's going to take forever. Like, even like we're doing a video game, like me and that guy Chris, he's developing the demo. It's almost done. It's going to be a prequel to the actual story. So you see how the Dwarf Father became the Dwarf Father. And like, that's just another storytelling device for this, you know what I mean? Like, because I just want to get it all out. Like, I haven't even got to the dragons yet. We've seen a little bit of the mermaid people, but you haven't seen their queen and stuff like that. Like the land where the giants live, stuff like that. Like, it's just going to be nuts. But yeah, I mean,
you're building an empire. You're not starting a comic. You're building an empire.
Yeah. To me, this is like going to be my Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like George Lucas had that, I'm going to have this. That's all it is.
If you find $6,000, I can introduce you to some real cool people.
Hey, you never know. You can always just kickstart a campaign for that. Like, oh, we're trying to kickstart our marketing budget. Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't figure out the value proposition to offer for that.
Your marketing budget.
If you help us raise $6,000, you can go onto the website that everyone else can go onto for free.
I already have full access.
Yeah.
But no, that's the thing too, and it's like, when it comes to the Magic Powder, I guess, like, I think it kind of markets itself in a lot of ways, so I'm not really too worried about it. Like, it'll grow as it grows, because I don't know. I think it appeals to a lot of people in different ways. Like, because there's even like obviously like people who are into fantasy or whatever, people into because like a big part of the reason I made a comic book was because no one would read my damn books. So I was like, at least they'll look at pictures. So that's pretty what. See, no, I agree with that, Ignacio, totally, though, man. But that's what
Ignacio says. Ignacio says you have a sweet IP, Jeff, and you can surely make 6 issues with magic powder. I definitely think so.
And that's somebody who's actually, purchased from my website and got a physical copy and everything. Like Ignacio's the man, so I believe in him because he says that to me. Like I know he believes in it, and that's cool. It's just, but like I agree with a lot of the things that everyone's saying here, though, where it's you got to pay your artists if you want to keep this going, so you got to make money.
And Blake says, "Shit, I'll introduce you to a bunch of people for $6,000."
Nice.
Oh, shout out to Blake's dog also coming out of the hospital today. Shout out to that.
Yeah.
Good job, Blake.
Use the wheels and give it a lot more happiness. Absolutely.
And Blake, we'll talk later, okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I'm thinking now though, so for Magic Power number 3, I already done alternate covers, and I've done, now we're trying stickers and stuff like that. But like, what's the craziest addition to one of your guys' campaigns besides like a comic book or a print or something like that you would do? Someone did like an action figure for that Trakovi Kickstarter campaign, and he said it kind of cost him a little bit more than he expected, stuff like that. But that's freaking cool to have a toy for your comic.
I was told people thought it was nuts. I was doing a T-shirt.
Yeah, and see, my one friend told me to do T-shirts, and I was like, I don't want to do T-shirts because I don't want to do sizes. You know what I mean? I want one size fits all for everybody because I don't want to.
So take into account though, like I'm doing a T-shirt because I paid for that. I paid for a cover that
put that on everything,
and I want it on something. Like, if we don't hit $7,000 and send people T-shirts, I'm still making me one.
I'm getting a T-shirt.
I did 2 T-shirts and haven't done it anymore.
I had one idea, but then I realized it went against the rules of Kickstarter because, of course, it wasn't me like looking in, as close as I probably should have the first time around.
Like homebrew or something?
No, I wish. No, but I came up, or my thought was to one of the artists I was going to have a commission, but if we hit a certain stretch goal, then there was going to be like almost like a Willy Wonka golden ticket, and I was going to put like, I'm going to put this in one book for, somebody, and, you get to win this commission. But then I was looking at it, it's like, oh, you can't do any raffles and shit. And I was like, well, I know they're going to end up dinging me. And I was like, no, okay.
It's not worth your campaign getting suspended right in the middle. I have seen campaigns do things like giveaways, raffles, etc. It all happens outside of the Kickstarter platform within the Kickstarter campaign, either emails outside.
I did.
It's not worth the risk, in my personal opinion.
And like part of me was like, oh, this would be a cool idea, because I mean, it's no. And then I was like, nope, not gonna work. I'm not gonna.
You guys continue. I'm gonna go find one real cool one that somebody did.
So here's one of my questions. Another one. Now I'm forgetting what it was. What the heck was I gonna say? My bad.
I did temporary stickers and temporary tattoos for for Crossover Division 1, and I did minifigs. Those were just cool as hell, man.
It sounds awesome.
So the artist I work with, Mario, he suggested doing minifigs, but I couldn't figure out how to go about getting them. So.
There's a guy who makes them.
Justin,
I think the main thing with that is that there's a guy I know who actually does them in every campaign. But if you want to contact and give it to you, I try to avoid that stuff myself because I'm trying to prioritize just like getting it fulfilled, But I did do for Dr. Orange, we did an actual like real high quality latex Halloween mask. And there was and it was handmade by this guy who works at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. Like outside of his regular job duties, he just sort of did it for us, and we didn't have a lot of takers on it because it was really expensive. But there is one out there somewhere. So I thought that was awesome. It was like a really cool prop. Like if you're doing photos or a video. And it was a Halloween themed thing, so we had it like in August, September when people are trying to get ready for Halloween, and we have like a skeleton put it on, and I had a video where my kids put it on and danced around, and so it was like really cool to do, and I think I've seen people do action figures. There's a guy who does Mego stuff figures. A guy who's more traditional.
Yeah, like the
figures.
classics.
One who does mini figures. I think with the mini figures thing, like the main thing is like don't say the word Lego, on your Kickstarter like at all, because it's not a Lego, it's the same design. But it's not Lego.
And there's Hank. There's Hank.
Did you say minifigure?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the minifigs that we did for Crossover Division 1. Those are so awesome, man.
Yeah, I want some magic powder
but I
toys
think
bad.
if you're going to give people like surprises and stuff, I think the best way to do it is just to say nothing about it. Like when you mail them the package, just slip something in there, And that's what I do. I have like a bunch of indie comics that I don't really need anymore, and I feel like I can kind of help out the indie comics community by just kind of giving people free ones. And it's never like my stuff. It's like something else that I backed. And if people usually don't do it for like lower tiers, because then it can affect your shipping a lot. But if somebody's already gotten like 4 or 5 or 12 or 13 comics from you, just like slip something else in there and say nothing about it, and then it kind of keeps people from talking to each other about it too, because somebody might have gotten a trade and somebody might have gotten a floppy, and and at least people then will like sort of appreciate it, and then it's not on Kickstarter's radar of being like a contest or anything,
Yeah.
So here's a question I have: do any of you guys ship internationally?
Yeah.
And how much does that cost usually? Because when I go to the post
So
office,
much.
shipping one comic book costs $25 to $30 anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Basically,
I think what I did is the suggestion I had gotten from Easton is that like when I first did it, everything was United States, but I've had some people like either message me on Kickstarter or on Twitter. They're like, "Oh, you don't ship here," and I said, "Hey, I'm okay with it, but this is what I'm getting for shipping." And it's like, if this is a $20 book, I feel awful that you're basically buying 2 books just to ship it.
same here.
But I mean, they were like, "Yeah, I want it open." So I was like, "Okay." So then I just kind of opened them as it's been asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, people will pay that. I mean, that's why I always say I'll ship it anywhere, and I'll just set the shipping cost accordingly. Some people will want to pay it. Some people will not want to pay it, but they might get digital or something, I mean, I just shipped my last Kickstarter. I just fulfilled like the week before I started this one, and I mean, I was shipping to Canada. It's like $25 just to Canada.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yep.
And then to UK was something like 28, and then I also shipped one to Switzerland, and that was like 31. Like it's just
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far.
I was lucky I didn't have to ship anything to Australia this time. I've had to do it before. Australia and New Zealand is like
and that was one of my major hurdles when I was setting up my Kickstarter too, is having to load in the shipping. And my wife and I wound up just getting the stamps.com thing, and then typing in random shipping codes all over the world and taking averages of the shipping prices and going from there.
I don't really do it. It's way too much work. Like I just I know how much the U.S. is going to be. I just include that, and then I set U.S. Puerto Rico and U.S. minor outlying islands to 0, and then I'll take like a couple categories, and whatever's like the most expensive place I mailed last, I'll just like put that in rest of world.
Yeah, I used to have America 0 because it's baked in, Canada, Europe, and then Australia. But Europe has gone up so much, it's basically the same as Australia. So I'll just take an address in Australia, figure out what that is. Address in Canada, figure out what that is. And I have, North America, America, Canada, and just the rest of the world. And it has worked out, but it's very expensive. Now, I will tell you something I learned today when I know that it works. I'm not going to put it out publicly. I've sent something to England, and it's about half the shipping, but I shipped it today. It hasn't worked yet. So I don't feel comfortable saying, "Hey, I found a way to save money" until it worked. So
All right.
stay
So
tuned. We got about
DMing you next week.
yeah, we got 4 weeks. It's a
That's how he gets
4-week,
us to come back and watch again. I'll
yeah,
be here.
yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
That's right.
Yeah, I
Smart
think it's
man.
someone-
I know how to
Yeah.
tease. I know how to tease.
For me,
Yeah,
I'm
US,
really
Canada, UK,
lazy.
Rest of the world. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think of the U.S., U.K., Canada, and rest of the world, and that was it. And I was going to put like a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
too much.
For me, I was like, okay, I think I said I'm just going to do a flat international shipping of 25 and realize that
You'll
most
lose some,
people are
make
going to
some.
be a little bit over that, and I'll just deal with it. And there might be some that are a little bit under. I usually don't have a tremendous amount of international backers, so it did bite me one time. I charged, I think, 27. I've been inching it up a little bit as the campaigns go by, but I think I charged 27. And this wonderful backer from the UK bought a Diary of Night trade, bought multiple, all the covers, and it was like a 4-pound package. And I was like,
It was probably
okay.
4 pound 2 ounces.
It was
because
80
4
bucks.
pounds is the ceiling. Yeah.
It was $80. I was like, wait, I could break it into 2. Oh, forget it. It's already done. Take my money here. It's gone. Go.
I had a backer in Australia and backer kit add on, I think something like $90 worth of books. And I was so excited. And I put it all together and it cost me $85 to ship that $95 worth of books. But I was like, they bought it.
They bought it.
They did exactly what I asked them to do. I didn't lose money. Ship the books because I feel that it's usually worth that. I know you could, I guess, say, hey, I screwed up. I'm going to need an extra whatever. But I was like,
yeah, I don't want to be that guy.
But now once you've added like 5 books, it costs you like $8 in America extra or 16 or 20 for international, because you don't want to be that guy who's burning his own Kickstarter books because he didn't figure out international shipping.
Exactly.
Which actually happened and is both the worst thing that ever happened and also I fucking love it because that crazy ass guy burnt thousands of his books. Like, what a goddamn nut, man. He makes us look great.
I didn't know that was a thing, and I don't like it.
Google Kickstarter burns own books and you'll see it.
I'm definitely doing that. I'm going to show my friend that after this is over. That's
it's absolutely terrible. And also, I grew up kind of wishing, knowing that I couldn't be Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes, but wishing I could. So when I meet people who literally can do shit that is just off the rocker, there's part of me that's like, all right, okay.
Yeah, as long as they're not around me too much, then I don't got to worry about getting in trouble for them. But yeah, definitely. But another thing I was going to ask you guys, so like the reason the international thing came up for me, first of all, my artists are all freaking international, but then I did a giveaway after the Kickstarter, like when I got my printed books, and I was like, I'll do a giveaway, someone can win a book. And then the person I ended up choosing that won the thing was in freaking UK. So I'm like, whoops. And so I didn't know how much it was going to cost. I was like, whatever, $20, something like that, $17 I was thinking. And I go, and I ship every single thing I had for the Kickstarter, all whatever 80 boxes I had to ship. And then I went to ship the international one, and the lady's like, it's like $30, and you got to fill out these customs forms and all this crap. So I was like, damn. So I went home and I told the girl that won the campaign or the giveaway, and I was like, yeah, it costs a little bit more than I thought, so it's gonna take me a little longer to ship or whatever. And then she hadn't bought a book or anything; she got it for free. And she's like, well, how much does it cost? Blah blah blah. And then I was like, this, and she's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, well, what if I buy a bunch of more books or whatever? And I was like, well, that would probably cover the shipping. So
that'd probably help. Yeah.
Yeah. She totally, yeah. So she bought like 2 more books, and so I shipped her all 3, and it was like $30 or whatever. And I think she gave me like 20, but that still helped for, it would have been $30 out the drain, and it would have been one comic. I'm glad like more people got it out there too. So everything worked out, and she's really cool. She's actually the only international backer right now in this campaign, because I put the $30 thank you package you can get internationally, but it's got $30 shipping or whatever. And so she's like, hey, you got to fill it up these customs forms again, because I backed it. And I was like, oh, that's perfectly fine with me, because now I know how much it costs. The custom forms take 2 seconds anyway, as long as you can write the address.
Pirate ship or ship station? it does all the custom forms for you, and it's just it's awesome.
Yeah,
ShipStation
that's cool.
and ShipStation integrates into BackerKit, so I can just push my orders over into ShipStation from BackerKit, and then when I print the labels, it updates BackerKit and says it's been shipped. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome. So
In BackerKit, I know Tyler James, his advice, and I always want to give him credit for it, is you look into like BackerKit when you're up to about 200 to 300 backers, because it really helps at that point. But less than 200 backers, you can probably save the money and do it on your own. But I have such horrible handwriting, Jeff, that boy, moving to the software to just do my customs was the greatest thing that happened, because I'd be writing, and then I'd be like, I can't read this.
So check this out.
Turn it off.
First of all, I have chicken scratch handwriting. I write
Okay.
left-handed. I'm a mess. I think too fast to even write the words down. Is, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But like, so I go to do the 80 packages at the post office, and it finishes up. The lady goes, "This is the first time I didn't have to check the address on anything." With the, you know, so I was like, damn. So I was pretty impressed with myself that day. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
Because like you said, my handwriting sucks. So, and not only that, but I didn't write any of the addresses down wrong, or I even had to look up a couple, like, just to make sure. And like, yeah, it worked out really well. But like, well, so with BackerKit, how does that even work? Do you have to, like, your campaign has to reach a certain goal before they'll even take you on, or how does that even work?
No, it's just it makes more financial sense once you hit about 200 backers. Although I'm gonna disagree with Kevin, because you know he's just wrong. But
What the fuck's new?
but Tyler, I think, has kind of moved that estimate down a little bit lately, because you have BackerKit launch now, which gives you kind of a landing page, so you can do pre-launch type stuff, gather email addresses, you know, so that when you do launch, you've got, you know, a larger people that you're, you know, targeting when you launch. I think he said, you know, 200, 175, maybe.
Yeah, that's a lot different than 200 to 300. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just totally wrong.
Thanks for calling me out, Will.
You're welcome, man. Anytime.
No, the launch is great, but the launch is the more campaigns you have, the more launch works for you, because it emails every backer you've ever had. So if you're on your second campaign, you know, your updates are going to hit your update is going to hit everybody anyway. So there's no reason to use launch, I would say, until you've done 3 or 4 campaigns and you've got, you know, 60 backers, 120 backers, and 200 backers, and they're not all, the first 60 didn't all come back. So you've got, you know, some weird amalgamation of, you know, 380 people that you want to reach. Launch is great. Instead of sending an update from, you know,
5
Joseph, you know, you know, you have to send it from all of your campaigns, and yet you hate to think of sending 10 emails to that one person who has been so loyal to you that they've been on every campaign, and then you've just hit that person 10 times because you want to hit the 10 people who've only done it once.
But you guys, you know how you
people need to be more literate about the fact that they can unsubscribe from those.
Yeah.
I unsubscribe from Kickstarter updates all the time. I really do. That's why I suggest, if you're going to give out digital rewards, send them into a message and not an update, because an update, they could have unsubscribed, and then I think people say, hey, you know, I never got the PDF for this. Even if they got a message, they might say that, but if it's in an update, you know, maybe they weren't subscribed to the update, whatever. I unsubscribe from so many, and it's not personal. You know, like I know I've backed almost 500 Kickstarters, and you know, I know when somebody's doing a new one at this point. Like, I don't need.
Yeah, you're following this stuff. So what I was gonna say though, like, I got all the emails of every backer I had, you know, just have them in an email list now. And then anytime someone buys something off my site, I get the email, you know, I put it in the list. So it's like, you know, I use the update from the first Kickstarter to tell everyone the new Kickstarter was coming out. But I also just emailed that whole email list and was like, in case you guys don't get the updates, check it out. And, you know, that was my alternative there. And then, but once the new campaign had launched, I told the first campaign people that this would be the last update ever on that, you know. And so if you want more, come on down. I'm not going to bother you anymore on this fucking thing. So.
Yeah, it's a good reason to have a mailing list too, because that's people who want to be there and who have decided, yes, I'm going to sign up for the mailing list. Yeah, they're not going to stay there forever necessarily, but like at least they have to opt in, for the updates. I think a lot of people don't realize that they don't have to get those emails.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing,
to be honest, I didn't even know that. So.
Yeah. The thing I like about BackerKit too is the pre-order store. So that you can, there's always going to be credit cards that didn't come through. So you can still contact the people via Kickstarter and have them, maybe try to update their credit card if they still want to try to purchase it. But two, you have a storefront where until you lock orders and say no more orders, anybody, you can just direct them to there and they can keep coming. I mean, I've done it for, I think this is my second BackerKit one, and it's always more than paid for itself. It's pretty awesome.
What I do with my updates is a bit like Jeff, except I do my last 3 campaigns. So I retire a campaign every time I launch a new one. So, once I was doing Tart 6, I didn't do, the first 3 campaigns or whatever it is, but I just kind of retire them. So you're going to get 3 updates from me if you back the last 3 campaigns. Plus, if you're on my email list, you're going to get the 4th.
But you do change your updates up a little bit, though. You'll put different covers for different things. I've seen you do that, which it makes it more interesting.
Sometimes I'll just and it's just one.
Just copy and paste
one photo. It's just one. I copy and paste the wording, and I might choose a different image. It's nothing big, but it's something just for the poor bastard.
I mean, Will notices it.
3 emails.
I have no life though, so there you go.
Yeah, join the club, baby boy. I mean, that's how it is. This is what being a writer is, my man. That's the problem with the last couple of days. That's why I'm not even home right now. Like, I went out to have a couple drinks, and I haven't even got home in 2 days. Like, I
that is slept. A couple drinks, dude.
Yeah, because we came back from bowling, and I was hanging out. My one friend,
it's that bowling buzz, man. You get that bowling buzz.
Bowling buzz. You wait, because like you say, I don't do shit, and then Wednesday is the bowling league, so that's the only time I'm even freaking social, especially with all this pandemic shit. So yeah, man, you freaking, you come back and you got a little, you still got adrenaline. You want to do something. So I was like, all right, I'll come over here. So we went to the bar at 2:00. Then we got out of there about 8:00. We're like, let's go bowling again. 9 a.m. Santa Fe opens. So we went bowling again yesterday, and that was it. Then we came home. We had some bets. We made like $300 on the freaking sports bet because the Rangers gave up a lot of goals early on, so that worked out really well. Even though they should have won, whatever. But I finally got some sleep last night, so here I am. But I was gonna Uber home, but I was like, no, I don't want to miss the podcast. So I'll just wait.
All right. Well, we're glad you didn't, because it's been a blast. But it is 12:38 Eastern Standard Time. We're almost up to 2 hours. So, Will, I think you got away with not having to do the.
I have one too, man. So
hold on. You're gonna do it next week, because I'm not. You know what, guys? This show was too good. You guys were too much fun. I'm not showing up next week.
Wait, I thought it was the 25th you weren't showing up for. It's next week?
It's 18th. I'm not showing up next week.
Okay.
My kid has spring break. We're driving somewhere, and there will probably not be Wi-Fi. So, and I plan to have a bowling buzz on.
That
sounds good.
That's we need to talk to Blake. It needs to be Blake's bowling buzz instead of Blake's buzz.
Gotta work.
Yeah, he could just take out the B logo and just put a bowling ball. It'll be time.
From what he said earlier, if you have $6,000, it is on. All right, so gentlemen, what we're going to do now is go through real quick the campaigns that are still live from creators that have been on the show. We're going to do this for you. I'm not going to do it for you next week, but Will.
I will do it.
And as long as you're live, we'll see if we can bring it up and hopefully get another eye on the project, which means you can hang with us as we quickly do this. You can go to bed if you got work or anything. And it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys. It was bowling. So much fun.
No, it was a lot of fun.
All right. So Will, so what you got?
How about Drumsticks of Doom.
How about it? Find it. Oh, we got a comment real quick though. Oh,
Lay it on.
B Cube, Blake's Bowling Buzz. B Cube. I'm glad I came back for that one. Blake with the win. Oops, we did it. We did it to each other. All right. Drumstick of Doom, John Westhoff's story of if in the 60s the biggest band in the world was not the Beatles, it was, I had it in my head,
Black Sabbath, I think. Yeah.
Black Sabbath. And you know, we all hear that if you listen to that devil music, the devil will become more powerful. And since Black Sabbath was as big as the Beatles, some of those dark magics are brought into the world. So how would the world be today if Black Sabbath were the Beatles? There are werewolves, there's monsters, and there's just a lot of fun. And John's just a fabulous dude. So check that baby out.
Yeah, he's great. Follow him on Twitter too. Like he's a really
He's
active
funny.
guy. He's always, retweeting everybody's stuff. He's a really cool guy.
Man, he's so fun. Got Bloom Pretty, which is a gorgeous, mature audience story about plant-based life forms that all happen to also have gorgeous female figures. If you enjoy a very not sexualized, but sensualized artwork, I definitely would check it out. Bloom Pretty. Lisa Fowler, it's her brainchild. She kind of had this, it's like a kid's book she had as a child, where all the characters were plants. And as adults, she got together and thought, well, what if we told a story like this? And it's just very cool fantasy, beautiful art, all female team that kind of, I have no problem with the male gaze, but I also have no problem with female gaze either. So I'm equal opportunity in that way. And this book is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, the art is just so lush. I mean, it's awesome. It's just an awesome book.
I'm just going to go up the banners, actually. Our friend Fellhound, her prequel to Commander Rao, And We Love You. Fellhound is the best. Just, like she's the best, and her comics are awesome. Great artwork, great story. Always deeper than you expect. And just a fabulous person. And I'd check it out. And We Love You. And if you haven't read Commander Rao, add that to when you back it.
And watch Cooking with Rao, a little video she made.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Freaking hilarious.
I put up on Twitter how funny it is when people Photoshop their comics in
famous people's hands.
Yeah. Who did The Rock today? Did one of you guys do The Rock today?
Ian Mondrick.
Rock was like cooking his comic book, and I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
And I remember Fellhound did that with Kristen Stewart, and what made me laugh about the Kristen Stewart one is she had to take it down for a second because people actually thought Kristen Stewart was reading her comic. and so she had to admit that it was just a joke. But it always cracks me up when people do this. So everybody, please do this. If you get sued, I did not tell you to do it. Russell Nolte's Cthulhu is Hard to Spell, Volume 3. His anthology it turns 3, and this is the first anthology was Cthulhu invading. The second anthology was Cthulhu and the Elder Gods sort of having power, and this one is some of the Greek gods and other ancient myths fight back. So we're not really sure. I'm definitely not sure who's going to take it over, but fabulous.
Queen of Mars. I think you skipped that one. Yeah.
Sorry, Mick.
Yeah. Mick Myers, awesome dude. Mick is a tremendous fan of the Burroughs Mars books, as am I, and he's doing kind of a side tale with Fedor of the Therns, and it's the first issue did really well. It's magazine sized. He does the art and story, and it's pretty awesome. And I'm a John Carter fan, so he's hitting me in the sweet spot. I don't know. Can I say that? I'll say he's hitting me in the sweet spot. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Right?
I was just on Blake's Buzz with him the other night.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Mick's a good guy.
Mhm.
House of the Queer Bodies is a little girl gets lost in a world of fairy tales, and when she meets up with Mother Goose, she finds out that a fairy tale that I believe it was grandmother tells her doesn't exist in this world. So she goes on an adventure to find it, and Mother Goose gives her a gander to go with her on the adventure, and it's just a public domain story from like 1913 ish.
I think so. Yeah, it's
We'll call it 1913.
Public domain is cool.
Yes, and just a really cool thing. And Taylor, the writer, said that at the time that House of the Queer Bodies was written, queer just meant weird. So, but he looked at it and he was like, well, what if we could kind of play in that the word does mean, how we would think of the word queer. And so there's representation and kind of looking at how you could reinterpret words that already existed in a different way and tell a new and interesting story. So very cool. And I think we're up to you four. So
yeah.
Awesome. And we've got Ignacio said that she had a book with plant characters and she grew and thought, what if plants fart? And you know what, Ignacio, you got the last word. Everybody, good night.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.